Surely you recognize this gentleman to my left, the country's first president, George Washington. Take a look at what's in this enclosure, though, to my right. It's an actual letter he wrote in 1777. It's difficult to see, but it effectively establishes the country's very first spy network to take on the Brits. This is where America's spy story begins, and this $162 million museum is reimagining what it means to be a spy.
You'll be assigned a cover identity.
This wouldn't be a spy museum without a covert alias assigned to every visitor.
Nico Demir from Puebla City, Mexico. I'm a photographer.
Lead curator Alexis Albion showed me one exhibit pulling back the veil on the lives of international spies, like the so-called Mata Hari, a Dutch spy and exotic dancer.
She didn't spy for very long, only really a few months. And of course, she ended her life really tragically. She was executed during World War I for espionage.
You'll also find a high-altitude flight suit on loan from the CIA.
The idea was to keep the pilot alive in these spy planes so that they could capture imagery from the skies.
And this ice pick used to assassinate a Soviet exile.
You can still see, actually, the rust mark right on the blade there, with the bloody fingerprint of the assassin.
Many, if not most, of the artifacts here in the new museum originated in my personal collection.
Intelligence historian H. Keith Melton spent 45 years tracking down what he calls history's obscure artifacts. He now has 7,000 of them.
There is a hidden world behind every newspaper headline, every television story on international relations. The true stories are even more fantastic than the fiction.
Like that of the so-called Russian 10, a group of Russian spies living as suburban couples. The inspiration for the TV program, The Americans.
My wife, Elizabeth Page Henry.
For which Melton served as a consultant.
In the FBI, this is their greatest counterintelligence success in history.
Computer images of flowers which the Russians embedded with secret messages are on display next to the handcuffs used to arrest Anna Chapman and the 9 others in 2010. Good spying, Melton says, prevents conflict.
More wars are fought because of faulty information than good information.
Colonel Chris Costa is a former military intelligence officer and the museum's executive director. He explained why American intelligence failures, like those which preceded 9/11 and the Iraq wars, are also on display.
We don't always get it right, and learning comes from success as well as failures.
The key question being what?
Why was there an analytical failure? That's why we spy.
One exhibit even comes with a warning, the room on enhanced interrogation, a practice now banned by the U.S. government.
We show the evolution from current day backwards throughout history. The deed is all, not the glory. That's a credo we live by.
Colonel Costa also emphasized that spycraft is not for everyone.
It's a quiet profession. Our work is not lauded. We're happy working in the shadows. But in the case of the Spy Museum, we have a gift, and that is the gift to educate the public on what this work is all about.
And interestingly enough, everything on display here, including this infinity room, is not in position to convince people to want to join the world of espionage and surveillance. In fact, the lead curator I spoke with said if after seeing everything in this museum, the risks, the failures, people actually realize they do not want to become spies, she said she would look at that as a success because the world of deception, she says, is not for everyone. Nora?
Oh, I love that, Errol. Thank you. That line, the deed is all, not the glory. That's the credo that the spies live by.
Another good place to visit in Washington, D.C.
Good place.
There you go.
All right, Errol, thank you.